The village of Umocha was a place where the past and the present intertwined, like the roots of the ancient baobab tree that stood at its center. The tree was said to be older than the village itself, its deep branches reaching toward the heavens as if in prayer. Beneath its shade, the elders gathered to tell stories of the old days, stories of gods, spirits, and the delicate balance between the human world and the unseen. Nkem had grown up listening to these stories. As a child, she would sit at her father's feet, her wide eyes fixed on his face as he spoke of the spirits that dwelled in the rivers and forests. They are not to be trifled with, he would say, his voice grave. The spirits are powerful, and their ways are not our ways. Now, as a young woman, Nkem carried these lessons with her, though she rarely spoke of them. She was known throughout the village for her kindness and beauty, but it was her quiet strength that set her apart. She had inherited her father's resilience, tempered by her mother's gentle spirit. Though her mother had passed away when Nkem was just a girl, her presence lingered in the way Nkem cared for others, always putting their needs before her own. Nkem's days were filled with rhythms of village life. She helped her father in his forge, her hands rough from years of working with metal. She tended to the goats and chickens, fetched water from the river, and joined the other women in preparing meals for the community. Yet, despite her busy life, she often found herself longing for something more, a connection that went beyond the mundane. Many suitors had sought her hand over the years, drawn by her beauty and gentle nature. There was Chike, the farmer's son, who brought her baskets of yam and cassava. There was Emeka, the hunter, who offered her the finest meat from his catches. And there was Ifeanyi, the storyteller, who wove tales of love and adventure in the hopes of winning her heart. But Nkem had refused them all, much to her father's frustration. "You cannot wait forever, Nkem," Eze said one evening as they sat by the fire. "A woman needs a husband, a family. It's the way the things work." Nkem had smiled softly, her eyes distant. "I will marry father, but only when my heart finds a true match." Eze had sighed, knowing better than to argue. His daughter was stubborn, a trait she had inherited from him, but he also knew that her heart was pure and he trusted her to make the right choice. On a warm evening, as the sun dipped below the hills and painted the sky in orange and pink hues, Nkem's life changed forever. She had gone to the river to fetch water, as she did every evening. The river was her sanctuary, a place where she could escape the noise of the village and lose herself in the soothing sounds of flowing water. As she knelt to fill her clay pot, she noticed a figure standing on the opposite bank. He was tall and strikingly handsome, his presence commanding yet serene, his eyes dark and piercing, seemed to hold the weight of countless stories. Nkem felt a strange pull toward him, as if an invisible thread connected their souls. "Good evening," he called out, his voice smooth and melodic. "I am Obinna, a traveler from a distant land." Nkem smiled shyly. "I am Nkem. Welcome to Umocha." From that moment, their conversations began. Each evening, Obinna would appear at the river and they would talk for hours. He spoke of lands beyond the hills, where the stars danced in the sky and the earth held secrets untold. He described cities of gold, mountains that touched the clouds, and oceans that stretched as far as the eye could see. Nkem was captivated by his stories, but more than that, she was drawn to the way he made her feel seen, understood, and cherished. As the days turned into weeks, Nkem found herself falling deeply in love. She confided in her closest friend, Adora, who listened with a mixture of excitement and concern. "He sounds like a dream," Adora said, her eyes wide. "But where does he come from? Why has he come to Umuacha?" Nkem shrugged, her heart too full to question. "He says he's a traveler, seeking new experiences. Does it matter where he comes from?" Adora hesitated, then nodded. "I suppose not, but be careful, Nkem. Not all that glitters is gold." Nkem brushed off her friend's warning, too obsessed to see the truth, but others in the village were not so easily charmed. The elders, with their keen eyes and deep wisdom, watched Obinna closely. They noticed the way the dogs barked at him, the way the ghost shied away when he passed. They whispered amongst themselves, their voices low and uneasy. "There is something not right about that man," one elder said. "He walks too lightly, as if he does not belong to this world. And his eyes," another added, "they are too dark, too deep. They hold secrets we cannot understand." But Nkem, lost in the joy of her newfound love, paid no heed to their concerns. She saw only the man who made her heart sing, the man who had come into her life like a breath of fresh air. When Obinna asked for her hand in marriage, Nkem did not hesitate. She went to her father, her heart pounding with excitement, and told him of her decision. Eze's face grew grave. "A man without roots is like the wind," he said. "He can disappear at any time. Do not let your heart lead you astray, my daughter." Nkem's heart ached at her father's words, but her love for Obinna was unwavering. She believed in the connection they shared, a bond that transcended the ordinary. Against her father's warnings, she agreed to marry Obinna. The wedding was a grand affair, filled with music, dancing, and laughter. The villagers celebrated, but beneath the surface, unease lingered. Some noticed that Obinna never ate at the feast. Others whispered about how his footprints were no marks on the ground. The elders watched him closely, their aged eyes filled with suspicion. But Nkem, lost in the joy of her new marriage, paid no heed to their concerns. That night, as she lay beside her husband, she listened to the rhythmic rise and fall of his breath. Yet, something felt off. His chest did not move. His skin was cold, as though no blood flowed through it. But when morning came, he was as lively as ever, smiling at her as if nothing was wrong. Nkem pushed her doubts aside, determined to believe in the love they shared. The days following Nkem's wedding were filled with a strange, dreamlike quality. Obinna was the perfect husband, attentive, gentle, and full of love. He would wake her each morning with a soft kiss, his voice a soothing melody as he spoke sweet words into her ear. He helped her with chores, his hands strong and sure as he carried water from the river or tended to the goats. In the evenings, they would sit by the fire, his arm around her shoulders as he told her stories of distant lands and ancient mysteries. But despite the happiness she felt, Nkem couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It started with small things, the way the goats would bleat in fear whenever Obinna passed, their eyes wide with terror. The dogs, usually friendly and eager for attention, would growl at him from a distance, their hackles raised. Even the birds seemed to avoid him, their songs failing silent whenever he was near. At first, Nkem dismissed these occurrences as mere coincidence, but as the days turned into weeks, the strange happenings grew more pronounced. One evening, as she prepared dinner, she noticed that Obinna's shadow seemed to move independently of him, stretching and twisting in ways that defied logic. When she mentioned it to him, he laughed, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "You've been working too hard, my love," he said, his voice smooth and reassuring. "Your mind is playing tricks on you." Nkem wanted to believe him, but the unease in her heart only grew. And then there were the nights, those terrifying nights, when she would wake up to an empty bed. The first time it happened, she thought she had imagined it, but when it happened again and again, she knew something was wrong.